Hello everyone, welcome to Nalanda Advantage. Today's topic is light. So we'll be learning about electromagnetic spectrum, visible light, properties of light, rectilinear propagation, pinhole camera, the luminous and nonluminous objects, and the properties of materials based on the transmission of light. So let us quickly start. Light or the visible light that we see around us is basically a form of energy. It is part of the electromagnetic radiation of electromagnetic spectrum, which comprises of all various other ranges of radiation that we are going to learn in our next slide. So basically light, it's a form of energy which has dual nature. It is both wave and particle. The main source of light on our earth is sun. Now the sunlight is basically very important because it is the main source of energy which helps us to provide energy to all the other living organisms which are dependent on this ultimate source. Photosynthesis is the biggest process by which plants prepare their food, and through indirectly we get food from plants. But the photosynthesis, for occurring photosynthesis, we need sunlight. Hence, it provides the energy that green plants use to create glucose or sugar, mostly in the form of starch, which release energy into the living things that digest them. Now, as I told earlier, that light is basically a part of radiation belonging to the electromagnetic spectrum. So, as you can see in this figure here, these are the types of electromagnetic radiation ranging from radio waves, microwaves, infrared, visible light, ultraviolet, X-rays and the gamma rays. The wavelength from radio waves to the gamma rays, the wavelength is decreasing, but it has a higher frequency and higher energy. That means the radio waves, they are longer in wavelength but lesser in energy and less frequency, whereas the gamma rays, they have lower wavelength but they are very high frequency rays and high energy rays. These are the various uses of radio waves, like it used in radio television broadcasting, microwaves like for cooking and other signals, infrared, it used for IR cameras, heat, transmission of heat and radiators. Now this visible light, it is the light that we can see. This is in the range of 400 to 700 nanometer. UV rays, the rays given by the sun and it's absorbed by the skin and used in fluorescent tubes. X-rays, to see the inside body parts of the objects and fractures and everything, detection of those. Then gamma rays, it is used in medicines for killing cancer cells. So we have cobalt 60 and other isotopes of elements which helps in curing of the cancer. So this is your electromagnetic spectrum containing all the radiations. Now let us see the visible light. As I told you, it falls in the range of EM spectrum between the infrared and the ultraviolet rays, and the range occurs between 400 to nearly 700 nanometers. Now your visible spectrum rays, when the light is dispersed onto a prism or any other refracting material, any dispersing medium, then it diffracts into 7 other components of light. So basically a white light consists of all those 7 components, violet, blue, green, red, orange, yellow, which you see as a rainbow, right? Whenever there is rain and you see rainbow, so you find the colors, we call them as a Vibgyor. So basically a visible light is dispersing into the medium into these 7 spectrum of the colors. Now let us see about the few properties of light waves. The light can pass through, bounce off and can be absorbed by the matter. Basically these are the laws of reflection. Light can disperse, light can reflect, light can refract. We will learn about this in our further videos. Light is an electromagnetic radiation, as we have already discussed, and all the electromagnetic radiation, they form transverse electromagnetic waves. Except a sound wave, it is a mechanical wave. The difference is the transverse wave do not require a medium to travel. They can travel without medium also. They can travel in both medium and non-medium. That is why the sun rays are able to we are able to see the sun rays, or we are able to see the feel the sun rays in spite of the fact that we do not have a medium in the universe. Light rays travels at a speed of 3 into 10 raised power 8 meter per second or 3 lakh kilometer per second. The highest speed any particle who have achieved can be achieved just now. Research has been going on at CERN, and the Higgs boson particle has been identified, which is apparently nearby the particle size, or you can say that it's traveling along at the speed of light. Light can travel in a vacuum. Light can travel in a straight line, which is known as the rectilinear propagation of light. We will do experiments in this video to prove that how light can travel in a straight line. Light does not need a medium to travel through, though it can travel through a medium, and it is a form of energy. Now, as we know, light travels very fast, nearly around 3 lakh kilometer per second, right? So, this is the main reason why we see thunder and lightning. They start at the same time, but we see the lightning first and hear the thundering afterwards, because light can travel faster. And the second example is when a gun is fired, right? We see the light first and then we hear the sound of the bullet shots. Now, can you tell me why is it that we see sun 1/4 minutes after it has risen? Think. Well, this occurs because the distance between the sun and the earth, the distance between the sun and the earth is nearly 1500 million kilometers, and it takes the rays to travel from the sun to earth is basically 1/4 minutes. That is why we see the sunrise after 1/4 minutes if it has actually risen. Now, light, rays and beams. You can see here that light travels in a form of rays, and when there is a collection of rays, this is known as the beam of light. Now, this beam of light can be parallel, divergent or convergent. Few examples. For example, your parallel beams. The car headlights, they give out a parallel beam of light. Divergent beam, right? So, you have seen a torch nearby you. The torch always gives a divergent beams. That means they start at one point and then they diverge or move into all other directions. Convergent beams. These are the rays of light that are coming from all the sources, but they are focused at a one point. Whenever you are trying to see something from a magnifying glass, you think of the fact that all these are your convergent beam. So, I hope the rays and beams are clear to you. Now, the most important question is, how does the light travel? Light travels in a straight line. And how do we know this for sure? We will do an experiment. There are two experiments that you can see. For example, look at the figure given below. There are two students and a candle flame is placed in front of them. Student A is seeing has a straight rod pipe, right? And he is looking through the candle flame through this straight rod. He can directly look at it and the candle flame will be visible to him. Whereas a student B has a bent shaped rod or a pipe. Now, she is trying to look through the candle flame, but the light from the candle cannot reach the eye. This is because it shows that light travels in a straight line. This property of traveling in a straight line is known as rectilinear propagation, which essentially means that the light is traveling in a straight line. Now, let us see few more experiments that will clear this doubt. This is a simple experiment. As you can see in the figure below, this is the setup of an experiment in which a candle flame is placed before the three cardboards having a hole in the center, and an observer is there to view these cardboards placed in a serial order, one after each another, right? So, if you are looking through a cardboard where the holes are placed straight in a straight line, the observer will be able to see a candle flame. But what happens when this cardboard is placed at a different location? such as like this. Now the observer won't be able to see the light rays coming to him or her directly. This proves that light travels in a straight line, because when these cardboards are rearranged or shuffled up, the light rays were not visible to the observer. Whereas in the figure given here, the light rays that were visible when these cardboards are placed in a straight line order. Hence, these two experiments prove that light travels in a straight line. We know that light bends. Yes, it do bends, and this property of bending of light is known as refraction. But we will learn about this in the further videos. Now, an important application of this light ray traveling in a straight line. Do you know you can make a camera with very few things at your home? Just a cardboard or a translucent screen, and voila, you have your camera with you, right? So let's see what is pinhole camera and what is the function of it. Now, pinhole camera, as the name suggests, is having a box with this minute pinhole size, right? And when you're observing an object such as a tree or a candle or any object nearby you, through this pinhole, the object's image is reflected on the screen and it will be projected onto the pinhole box where the screen is there into an inverted position, such as in the figure given here. Hence, you will get an inverted image on the screen and your camera is ready without any much cost. Now, this image is depending upon the size of the object and the pinhole camera. It is directly proportional to the distance of screen from the pinhole and inversely proportional to the distance of object in front of the pinhole. So, as long as you move the screen and the pinhole, the size of the object will also increase or decrease depending upon the distance between them. So, this is the application of rectilinear propagation of light, where you can see an object through your pinhole camera. Do try it at home. This is very simple to make. Our next topic suggests the objects to classify on the basis of emitting of light. Such objects are known as luminous and non-luminous objects. Basically, an object which produces visible light is known as luminous objects. For example, candle, sun, flashlights or torch, neon lights, all these are the objects which produce their own light. These are known as luminous objects. Can you name one living organism having a luminous body? Well, you guessed correctly, it is firefly. The second type of object is non-luminous. These objects do not produce the visible light, they reflect or allow light to pass through them through an object. Basically, we have most of the objects around us are non-luminous. Then how do we see them? We see them because they reflect the light. What is reflection? Reflection is basically striking of a light on an object and then traveling onto another path. Basically, it moves to another path at an angle through which it is striking onto the surface. These angles are made basically through the laws of reflection. Students, reflection, light and refraction will be covered in the next video. Moon, stained glass windows, color liquids, text box, pen and so many others, planets, moon, all these are your non-luminous objects. Basically, they do not have a light of their own and they reflect the light of any visible source. Similarly, we can classify the materials based on how they transmit the light. Suppose a material is transparent, that means all the light passes through. And if the material is translucent, then only some light passes through. If the material is entirely opaque, then that means no light will pass through. So these are the few, in the figure here you can see the few examples of transparent, translucent and opaque objects. Can you tell me what kind of objects are required for your casting of a shadow? Is it transparent, translucent or opaque? Well, you guessed correctly, it is opaque object. Because it is the opaque object, that will entirely block the light, whereas translucent object will cast a shadow but of a lighter intensity, and transparent objects will not at all cast a shadow. I hope these types of materials, based on the classification whether they are able to transmit light or not, is clear to you. So let's quickly revise what all we have studied in this video. We studied that there are light sources like sun, candle flames, electric bulb, and these are known as your luminous objects. So the objects which can give their own light, they are known as luminous, and if they are not able to give their own lights or emit their own lights, they are known as non-luminous objects. Then the sunlight. Sunlight is required for energy. It is the ultimate source of energy. It helps to things grow. It is required for warmth and to see the things. And the few properties of light we have discussed is that the reflection, anything which we are able to see is because of reflection. And the speed of light, the fastest, the particle having the photons, they have the fastest speed, and it is basically 3 lakh km per second. And the third most important property is that light travels in a straight line. So let's quickly take some quiz to assess your understanding of the topic. First question is, light behaves like both a particle and is it current, mass, wave or voltage? So let's see, the correct answer is wave. So light behaves both like a particle and a wave. Question number 2. What particles make up the light? Is it protons, neutrons, electrons or photons? Let's quickly see what the correct answer is. And yes, you guessed it correctly. Light particles, they are made up of photons. Question number 3. Does light travel faster in water or in a vacuum? So the answer is, we say that light is a transfer wave. It does not depend on the medium. However, if there is a vacuum, it travels fastest and then on to other mediums. Question number 4. A frosted window will it be opaque, translucent, transmission or transparent? Hence, a frosted window will not allow all the light to pass through, but it will be translucent in nature. I hope this video was helpful for you to understand the propagation of light and its properties. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and share to all others, those who you think it might help them. Thank you so much for watching.